Honey! What's up, guys? It's your boy Jaelin. We are back with another one today. We are going to watch the top 30 games of Xbox One. Now, side note, I just found out that my father, yes, my pops, my dad, just bought Xbox One about a week ago. But anyways, I was just like, okay. Because we only have PS4, but now we got Xbox One, so we got both. So, yeah, you already know what's going to be happening. A lot of gameplay, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get straight to it, because this video is 20 minutes long. Let's go ahead and do the thing then.
Tons of new Xbox games are coming out this year. Hi folks, it is Falcon,
and
today on Game Ranks, the new Xbox games of 2020. Starting off at number 30, it's Twin Mirror. Twin Mirror is an episodic adventure game brought to us by Dotnod, the creators of course, Life is Strange and the very good Vampire. It's a detective story that you'll go back and forth between the main character's mind palace and the real world. If you're not familiar with the concept of a mind palace, it's a visualization in order to enhance a person's memory. Just basically a technique. You've seen it in a couple of shows, Sherlock on BBC if you've watched that. Dotnod says that this isn't going to have any supernatural elements, but keeping in mind that part of it does take place inside the main character's mind, there may be some weirdness. I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I think Dotnod does a great job. It has a release sometime this year. At number 29 is Session, a skateboarding game coming to us from Creature Studios. This is a game we have heard a fair amount about since it was kickstarted back in 2017. It's honestly just a really cool looking game. There's not a lot of skateboarding games anymore.
I was actually
every attempt to revive Tony Hawk.
I could do a bunch of tricks.
They haven't done it right. They've been okay at best. The developers of this game have said, look, we're going to do something different. There's an early access version of this out on Steam. There has been since September. The full version is going to hit the PC and Xbox One sometime this year. And let's just be frank, this looks cool. The early access version is extremely well reviewed, and I think Xbox players are really in for something great. At number 28's another Dotnod episodic adventure game called Tell Me Why. It's supposed to kind of be a mini-series, a 3-episode. It's about two twins traveling back to their childhood home in Alaska to come to terms with events from their childhood. The main mechanic of the game appears to be the idea that they will both have different recollections of different memories, and you'll have to make decisions as to which one you accept. It sounds like an interesting idea, and I like that it's kind of a mini-series. Tell Me Why is coming mid-2020. At number 27 is Minecraft Dungeons, a dungeon crawling game. Obviously with the aesthetic of Minecraft, however, most of the mechanics are totally different. There is no crafting, you can't destroy blocks, you can't build. It's literally a randomly generated dungeon crawler with 4-player co-op. Now obviously the point here is a themed dungeon crawler. The proof is going to be in the pudding. I can't tell you whether it's going to be good or not. I will say it looks very cool. I like what Minecraft looks like, and I like dungeon crawlers, so assuming they manage to theme everything well, I think it's going to be quite good. Minecraft Dungeons is coming in April 2020, so look out for that. At number 26 is Man-Eater, or you could call it Shark Simulator. It is a genuinely, totally insane looking game in which you play as a shark. It's an open world RPG. There's skill trees. There's boss fights, and in some respects it reminds me a bit of Tony Hawk, or maybe even a little like Sunset Overdrive, but with a shark. I don't know, it looks great. Man-Eater's landing May 22nd. I'll be playing it, period. Number 25, the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope, which is the follow-up to Man of Medan, which is the end part of the anthology series launched by the creators of Until Dawn. And we do not have a lot of information about this, we just know exactly what kind of game Supermassive Games makes. And that's basically what we're looking at here. We do know there are some connections between these. They share a universe, the Dark Pictures universe. There's a couple of clues littered about, like Conrad's shirt reading Salem, 1692, Massachusetts, supposedly is a clue. There was a premonition of one of the characters we've seen in the trailer, Andrew. And that's about the extent we know. I'm excited though. Obviously, this is a quality studio, and Little Hope will be hitting at some point this year. At number 24 is Beyond Good and Evil 2, a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, a game that came out in 2003. The original was basically a cult hit, but a commercial failure, and, well, you don't often see sequels to that happen. There were a couple of trailers in 2007 and 2009, but we really heard nothing about it for years until 2016, when a couple of new pictures came out, and then we got a trailer at E3 2017. Beyond Good and Evil, the original, was an action-adventure game. It was really cool. It deserved more than it got, and to see it being given a second chance in this way is exciting for me. It's a game with a ton of personality, and what we've seen of the new one looks to be the same. I'm excited. It's supposedly coming out this year. I'll be there. At number 23 is Way to the Woods, a third-person adventure game which is definitely very different. You may have heard people talk about it as the Deer game, but it's a very stylized game where you play as, well, you guessed it probably from what I was saying, deer, which the creator describes as two deer in a strange abandoned world without humans that have to find their way home. You have to find food, shelter, safety, and answers on your way back to the woods. Influences cited: Studio Ghibli, specifically Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, and The Last of Us. In my opinion, fantastic stuff. It looks cool as hell. I love those influences. I'm really excited to see what this is, basically. We don't have a date. It is coming at some point this year, though. At number 22 is Skull and Bones, an action game based entirely around the naval combat that we know and love from the Assassin's Creed series. Basically, this is a game we've been talking about for a couple of years because it's such a great idea. The naval combat in the Assassin's Creed series is fun as hell. They're setting this game in an open world. You can play it single player, or you can gather up to 5 other players as allies or combatants. If you understand the mechanics of the combat in Assassin's Creed, supposedly you'll be at home here. I'm sure that it's going to be expanded upon at least a little, but that's what I'm interested in personally. I think it's just a great idea for a game, and I'll definitely be playing it when it comes out this year. And number 21 is Tales of Arise, the latest in the Tales series. It's in some ways a much vaunted addition to the series, moving from their proprietary engine to the Unreal Engine in order to make a more detailed, cooler looking game. And I think in that respect, we can already say that they probably succeeded. We do know that they have made some alterations to the gameplay and are intending to evolve the series with this game. Do we know exactly to what extent they've changed things? Not necessarily. We've mainly just seen footage and trailers at this point, which tends to be very cool looking. It feels like we've been talking about this game forever, but they unveiled it officially at E3 2019. I don't know, I'm ready for it. I really enjoyed Tales of Berseria. Tales of Arise is coming sometime this year. At number 20 is Grounded. Think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but as a survival game. And you know what you're getting in this one. You are shrunken to a smaller size than an insect, and you have to survive. You'll have to hunt, you'll have to gather, you'll have to exist in a world where you're tiny and bugs are not tiny at all. That they haven't made this game already is actually kind of shocking to me. It sounds actually like a great idea, considering there's so many survival games out there, but this is actually intriguing to me. That bodes very well in my opinion. We don't have an exact release, but Grounded is supposedly hitting sometime spring 2020. At number 19 is the Destroy All Humans remake, which looks phenomenal. I love Destroy All Humans. Destroy All Humans cannot.
Oh, that was in the PS4 video I just did. It's got such a warped sense of humor.
It's over the top. At times, it's even cringe-inducing on purpose. And now it's going to have incredibly good graphics and some modern enhancements. However, the game itself isn't being fundamentally changed to the point that the original voice acting is being used for the game. That's phenomenal in my opinion, because a lot of the time a remake doesn't necessarily mean that. We don't have an exact date, but when it comes in Q1 or possibly Q2 of this year, it's a no-brainer for me. Number 18 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, a newer, bigger version of Ori and the Blind Forest, ready for us to explore and go well beyond the forest itself. The kinds of environments that are being promised are much bigger, although it retains the Metroidvania feel, and brings us a new upgrade system, which is actually a bit reminiscent from what I'm reading of Hollow Knight. Ori and the Blind Forest was phenomenal. More of it, of course. That's what I'm here for. It's coming March 11th, and that's not really that far into the future. I'm excited. At number 17 is
it already came through then.
A pretty wild-looking multiplayer combat game coming to us from Ninja Theory, where you'll choose from 12 different characters from 3 different classes: damage, support, or tank. Primary type of attacks in this game are melee. Some range attacks exist. Some have called it a melee Overwatch, but I don't know. I wouldn't say that it looks entirely like that. To me, it's got a very different look. Some of the imagery is a little bit unsettling and cool. It's Ninja Theory after all. The game is launching sometime this year. There is a closed beta on March 13th. If you're interested, head to bleedingedge.com to participate in that. Honestly, it's a really cool looking game. It's launching sometime later.
Yeah, I like the graphics. I like
Number 16 is Wasteland 3. If you're unfamiliar with Wasteland as a series, it's actually the forerunner to Fallout. Fallout was developed by some developers that worked on the original Wasteland. They're similar types of games. They're isometric RPGs. Wasteland 3 is still an isometric RPG. However, it obviously looks a lot more modern and very cool. Wasteland 3 is set in a post-apocalyptic Colorado where it is very cold and snowy, and that's a little different from Fallout. A lot of the development team worked on Torment, Tides of Numenera, and frankly, just to go ahead and say it, this looks good. I think this is going to be a good game. Wasteland 3 is hitting May 19th. At number 15 is Marvel's Avengers, which is the new action game that looks to take some from the Spider-Man game on PS4, but in other ways definitely ups the ante as far as the cinematic style. There seems to be a lot of quick-time events, lots of different characters, of course. Honestly, what we've seen of the combat, for me, looks fun. The Black Widow combat looked particularly enjoyable. Like I said, reminds me a lot of Spider-Man in some ways. This game was going to come out much sooner, but they delayed it to September in order to add a little more polish, according to them. And the trailer we've recently seen is good evidence of what they're doing. Marvel's Avengers is hitting September 4th. I'm sure almost everybody's going to play it. And number 14 is Gods and Monsters, a new Greek mythology-oriented open-world game.
I've seen this one in the last video.
Odyssey. Makes sense, right? However, we're taking an aesthetic that is significantly more reminiscent of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I'm there for it. It looks really great. Frankly, to see that Breath of the Wild had an effect on people enough that it's going to influence visuals in other games like this, that sounds wonderful to me. I love the visuals in that game. I love that game. I also love Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so it's kind of a best of both worlds scenario in my opinion, or at least hopefully it will be. We do not have a specific release, although it is slated for 2020. It's one of those games that I am going to keep a very close eye on. And number 13 is Watch Dogs Legion. In my opinion, a bold and very cool sounding direction for Watch Dogs to take. It hits an alternate world post-Brexit England where the place is turned into a police state where you're essentially building a resistance. That sounds very cool to me because a techno dystopia like that, where it's in advanced stages, is a little bit of a new element. Obviously, the previous games have kind of showed the potential of a techno dystopia. Here's where it's actually taken hold, and I'm definitely there for that. It's hitting March 6th. I'll play it. At number 12 is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This one's obviously already out. If you're interested in some thoughts on it, see Jake's video. I pretty much agree with all of his criticisms, although I also have to say I enjoyed this game probably more than you could possibly imagine. It was done really well, not perfectly. For any Dragon Ball Z fan, however, it is more than worth the ticket price, and it is a genuinely fun game. Like I said,
I usually wait on games and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get one that's cheaper. I paid the whole $60 for this damn game. I ain't gonna cap.
A sci-fi first-person shooter from V1 Interactive, a new indie studio founded by one of the creators of Halo. This is actually a pretty original-looking game. Essentially, humans have their brains put into mechanical bodies because that's the only way to survive at this point. And you pilot around these awesome motorcycles that fly. There's a single-player campaign, there's PvP multiplayer, and as we see more of it, we'll definitely be talking more about it. It's a very intriguing title that seems pretty unique as far as FPSs go. We don't have a specific date, but it is coming sometime this year.
That's pretty cool.
And number 10 is Kerbal Space Program 2, a fairly ambitious-looking sequel that looks to build on almost every type of system, which is interesting on account it's being made by a different developer. One of the biggest additions we're seeing in this one is colonies. You'll be able to colonize areas, which will create a need to not only gather resources, but also deal with various planetary changes. There's a massive expansion on how far you're going to be able to explore, and generally it's shaping up to look like something very cool. Star Theory Games looks like they're handling the franchise pretty well, and their version of it is going to hit sometime this year. At number 9 is Lego Star Wars
I'm not going to lose right now. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear
a new Lego Star Wars game that will span the entire 9-movie series. And if you're familiar with any Lego Star Wars, you know exactly what we're talking about here.
The world had to leave the Earth.
With very fun gameplay and a comedic bent. That's fun for both kids and adults.
Lego
Star Wars
planet.
has been a great series and massively fun.
And we just have to figure out
if you don't like previous Lego Star Wars, it's probably not going to be for you. However, for me,
from ground up,
these are fun
companies and making how the Earth became the Earth and the world, and
number 8 is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, an action RPG,
this is just what
and
happens,
sequel to
and
the
viruses like this happen,
Vampire the Masquerade
and then
you'll be able to create a vampire character, and then jump into this first-person vampire, werewolf, demon, etc. story. Honestly, it's kind of hard to imagine this game going badly, although weirder things I guess have happened. Vampire the Masquerade
so don't mind me. Let's enjoy
and we'll see this new sequel sometime this year. At number 7 is Rainbow Six Quarantine, a 3-player tactical co-op game in which an alien parasite is unleashed and squads of 3 Rainbow operators drop into quarantine zones to attempt to eliminate it. It's essentially a full game version of the Outbreak event from Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and frankly, it looks really cool. Rainbow Six Quarantine is coming sometime this year. At number 6 is the Resident Evil 3 remake, which is nice to see that they're Resident Evil getting the same treatment that Resident Evil 2 got. It's my opinion that the first 3 Resident Evils are the best of them, and the second remake was just phenomenal. I'm incredibly excited to be playing Resident Evil 3 because Resident Evil 3 actually takes place partly before and partly after Resident Evil 2. It's in a lot of ways an expansion of 2's story, which is in a lot of ways an expansion of 1's story. I couldn't be happier that they're doing these games. It's great. The Resident Evil 3 remake is coming April 3rd. At number 5 is Outriders, a game that comes to us by developer People Can Fly, the developers from Gears of War Judgment. And yes, this looks like a game that's heavily influenced by Gears of War, however, definitely with a slightly different aesthetic. It is a 3-player co-op though. It is, however, a game that includes RPG elements with different classes for the different characters. The developers have released a few videos explaining some aspects of the game, and it's definitely intriguing. Outriders is hitting holiday 2020. At number 4 is Doom Eternal. I personally am a big fan of the Doom reboot. Doom Eternal is looking very much like the Doom 2 to Doom 2016's Doom 1. It looks like a lot more of Doom, with bigger levels and more wild weapons.
I'll definitely play this.
Frankly, I just have to say one thing to get myself super psyched for this. Grappling hook shotgun. That's it. That's literally everything I need to hear. Doom Eternal is hitting on March 20th. And number 3 is Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you're a fan of Microsoft Flight Simulator,